quite some time, I've been having the impression that there will be a lesson about influencers, because social media influencers are such a big um, thing right now. I know people who are quitting their jobs to go full time into being a social media influencer. And so that's just been something I've thought a lot about. What does it take to be an influencer? What is your role? Who are you wanting to influence? And so that's going to be the kind of the overarching premise of this lesson. But there is a girl I'm going to introduce you to, and she's from my local area, and she's a social media influencer, among other things that she does well. But she has started a slogan or a campaign, which is kind of like the foundation of her message, and it's go love on somebody. So go love on somebody. And she really promotes that, and she has shown examples of how to do that in unconventional ways. And so the slang meaning of love on, which I think of it as being kind of an Appalachian term, but it's not. It's used across all, um, well, I guess all groups of people will say love on, but it means to demonstrate care or concern or platonic affection for someone using words or actions. So I want you to meet um, Takara Moore, and an influencer, what it means to be an influencer. It's one who exerts influence, a person who inspires or guides the actions of others. So I'm thinking about, the inspiration they give. Well, some influencers are able to sell makeup because their makeup looks so good and everyone wants to look like them, or whatever the product is that they're selling. And they drive business to different companies by their posts and the different videos that they create. And there's several different social media platforms from TikTok to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Um, and so many of these influencers have their media out there on all of these different platforms. And so a person who is able to generate interest in something, such as a consumer product, by posting about it on social media. And so that is specifically a social media influencer. But Takara has started this, or Takara, I'm not sure how she pronounces it. She has been using this slogan, go love on somebody, to the point where she has now created a t-shirt, and people are buying them and wearing them and sending them her picture. So she's again influencing people to buy this shirt to promote this action of loving on someone. And I first learned about her through the Best in the Mountains award that is through a local media company, Mountaintop Media in Pike County. And she was the person down that was getting the award for the best social media influencer, which I'd never seen that award before, and I had never heard of her. So immediately I looked her up, and here you can see how many people that she has following her. 116.5 thousand people follow her on TikTok, and she has here that she loves Jesus and dry shampoo. So she works in the beauty industry, and she's also a praise and worship leader at her church. So she sings. And so then I watched not very many, like I don't watch too many social media. Um, like I don't follow closely to very many, but I saw where she had posted, she was responding to a post that she had made that had gotten a lot of criticism. Apparently, she had made a statement like, if and she was talking about someone else who had asked for money. And she said, personally, if each of my followers sent me $6,000, I mean, $6, I could buy my dream home. And one particular man wrote back some really, really hateful um, I wrote back a video to her or created a video in response or a comment and just blasted her that she was asking for money and how horrible that was, and that she was using her beauty to try to, you know, influence people to donate to her when she really didn't have a need, and that wasn't the point of her video. And so instead of coming back at him in a negative way, she created a video in response to his comment that was so kind and loving. And she talked about the fact that this person was sick. She had learned a little bit about him. And anyway, he he responded to that in a way that said, I have never had anyone love me like that. And he was just shocked. And so the whole point was she was getting a lot of public criticism, as many social media influencers get, but the way she responded in love and kindness was very unusual, to the point where it humbled that person and he apologized publicly. And so her message of go love on somebody is something she says, to do every day. Go love on somebody. That is her mission. And it just inspired me for this lesson. It made me think about, who can I influence? And so when I started looking into our circles of influence, we have these circles of control, circles of influence, and circles of concern. And so what can I personally control? Well, I can pretty much only control me, the way I respond to something. I bet the first time she heard that negative or read that negative comment or saw the video, however he reached out, that probably hurt. But she controlled the way she responded and her approach to respond to that man in kindness and love, despite the hurt that she felt. She was able to control her mood, her thoughts, her words. And then beyond what we can control, we have what we can influence. Now, I don't have a social media following of thousands of people, so I don't have a reach um, that I can influence that many. But when I think about who I can influence my family, I can influence, my colleagues that I work with, I can influence friends, maybe even my community, depending on the type of work and things I'm doing with my church. So, those are the areas where I can really think about how can I go love on somebody? Who are the people that are either acquaintances of mine or maybe even people that I don't know, but I come in contact with that I could have an influence on? And then things that I really probably can't um, have a huge impact on are things, maybe global warming, things that are just totally out of my control, but that are concerns of mine. And I thought, all of these circles of control, influence, and concerns need to be bathed in prayer. I need to pray before I react, pray before I respond, pray about how I can love on others, and then pray about those concerns that are well outside of my sphere of influence here. So here's my journal page. Go love on somebody. And my idea is to put my little social media influencers that I showed you, put their pictures here on my empty spaces, put my picture, put my inspiration scripture, and then how do I want to influence people? What is my platform? It's certainly not makeup and hair. It's certainly not, um, nails and that type of thing, fashion. But how can I influence people, and what is my platform going to be? What am I going to be promoting? And so that's how I'm going to set out my journal pages. And these are just big letters that I got at a thrift store in a big bag. And I don't like them because they're raised. And when I write over here, it's probably going to leave indentions. So I'm going to have to put something under there when I write. But, I thought they were really standing out and giving that message. So that's why I used them. And then I wanted to show you this sweet little basket that I found today at a thrift shop. I just put a little piece of fabric in there. It's not even cut square. It is just a scrap piece. I got this whole bundle of silk flowers today it's one bunch for $2, which is a deal. It's much cheaper than even the dollar store. I cut off a couple of those and stuck in. And then I thought, what if I got here that's small and I can tuck in to this little basket? I wrote out that little blessing. May your troubles be less, may your blessings be more, may nothing but happiness come through your door. I thought if someone is sick, under the weather, maybe you could put a vitamin C drink in there, like the Emergen-C. I thought of Bunny. Ha ha, Bunny. You could put a slim drink in there because that's very healthy for you and help get your gut health in shape. A tea bag. You could put a gift card. And what Scarlet C did, she put a few little things like this, but then she put a muffin. She had made some muffins and put in there. You could put a little cookie in a wrapped up in cellophane or saran wrap and stick that in there. And then what she did is she took um, this hemming tape, I think is what it's called, that seamstresses use, and she tied it around the basket. Try to do it so you can see. You need to tie a knot down here at this part and then leave enough slack so that if it's one of those doorknobs that has the latch, it's kind of long, you want to have enough room to go around that. And so you can tie it off depending on the doorknob you leave it on so that it will be hanging there. And of course, I think a scripture verse in there would make it that much more special. And then in keeping with what Scarlet C did, she used mugs, and I found this cute one that says bloom where you're planted. And I thought this is the perfect one for Becky Watts because she did a lesson on that at Big Creek Church a few years ago, to bloom where you're planted. And I thought of that, and it could be done the same way. I found this antique vintage coffee mug. It even has Japan on it, so I know it's pretty old. And that style, they used to stack on top of each other, if you remember it. You could do it the same way, and you could use fabric scraps to make your tie and leave that hanging on the door. And then I had this other little basket that was really cute. I got every bit of this at thrift shops for 25, 50 cents for the basket. I think the baskets maybe I paid $1, but this is a little hand woven basket. It was so sweet and even has the person's initials that made it. So, when you're out thrifting, keep your eyes open for ways that you could make a little something to go love on somebody.